Off-price retailers offer lower prices, wider selections, and similar quality goods compared to traditional department stores. And as popularity for department stores drops, more and more off-price retailers are popping up across the country.
Around 1990, my client was TJ Maxx. At the time, they said, we've done a real thorough study of the country, and we think the limit is 500 stores. I'm like, well, why is that? Well, that's all I think the market can handle. That's what they were saying. And there's only so much off-price goods. And of course, that's proven to be a small percentage of their potential in the marketplace. And they have thousands now, of course.
Off-price retailers are thriving today as consumers flock to their shelves for discounted clothes, cheap home decor, and seemingly great deals. But one question that more consumers are asking and less know the answer to is, where do all the items at your local TJ Maxx and Marshalls come from? There are three main ways off-price retailers get their product. First, they buy excess clothes from full-price stores.
Usually it is at the end of the selling season. So when retailers have extra inventory, they would like to clear up the system, free up their cash to invest in new batch of merchandise. So buyers of off-price retailers oftentimes work directly with large department stores and the name brand manufacturers. In fact, many retailers set up their own liquidation marketplaces where buyers can come to the marketplace to bid for their surplus inventories.
The second way is buying directly from manufacturers who often make a surplus of products that they want to sell cheaply.
A lot of apparel and home goods are part of a larger industry that has been operating in economies of scale. So usually the manufacturing happens abroad, and the individual brands who are producing these items to bring to market, they have contracts with manufacturers and they order a certain number of items. However, usually there is overproduction because it is much cheaper to have produced, let's say, 1,000 units extra as opposed to be missing those 1,000 units and have to restart the production.
And the third major way is that these brands partner with manufacturers to create special, exclusive brands that are only sold in off-price stores.
There's quite a bit of private label in these off-price outlets where they manufacture product to their own specifications and sell them under names that sound like they might be real brands, but they're house brands for the off-price retailers.
That is the way to get merchandise at a much larger scale and on a more reliable basis. And of course, both parties would have no incentive to disclose information on such agreement to the public.
Originally, these off-price retailers were founded on just the first procurement strategy, buying leftover supply from department stores. But as demand has soared, they've turned to the other supply chains as well. TJ Maxx, one of the largest off-price retailers in the US, declined to comment on their supply chains for this story. It's well documented that brick-and-mortar department stores are seeing major drop-offs in demand. JCPenney, Lord & Taylor, and Neiman Marcus declared bankruptcy in 2020, and 800 physical department store locations are expected to close by the end of 2025. Even stores like Macy's and Nordstrom are seeing documented drops in demand from consumers. But this trend isn't being felt by off-price retailers. In fact, demand for them is rising. In their second quarter earnings report of 2021, TJ Maxx reported a 23% increase in net sales over the same quarter in 2019. Before their sales were impacted by COVID-19, TJ Maxx saw an almost $11 billion increase in net sales between fiscal years 2015 and 2019.
American consumers are becoming more value conscious. They gravitated toward quality products sold at discounted prices, and off-price retailers certainly offer such attractions.
Another reason for off-price retail's rise in popularity, experts say, is that they are particularly great at curating supply that their consumers want.
TJ Maxx specifically has a very regional approach to marketing. They know the market very well, the local market. The buyers are very much involved in the whole process. And so if you go, for example, in New York City to the various TJ Maxx stores, you're not necessarily finding the same inventory because each one has been put together to address a very specific segment.
They know what they're doing in some ways better than some of the more famous first-line retailers like a Macy's or someone that you might think would be really good at adjusting for climatological differences. So there's no reason why TJ Maxx should be inferior to them, and they're not. So they know what sells in different parts of the country, and they send it where it's most likely to sell.
Off-price retailers have found so much success in their business model that other sectors of the retail industry are copying it and attempt to steal back some of their consumer base. One example is outlet malls, where brands sell their own discounted clothing.
Obviously, there's a downside of the off-price retailing format for any given retailer. That is, the assortment is constantly changing. It's literally hit or miss. So consumers cannot count on a certain retailer to consistently buy certain type of products or style or brand at cut rate low retail prices. That's why factory outlet malls are becoming a very formidable retail format, because by having dozens or hundreds of off-price stores together really offsets the limitation of the assortment of each one of them.
And some of those same department stores that are losing customers to off-price retailers are building their own off-price brands.
Some department stores realize that instead of selling to those off-price retailers and let them make big money, we're actually better off by opening up our own off-price retail outlets. For example, Saks Fifth Avenue has their outlet stores called Off Fifth. Nordstrom has their own off-price chain, Nordstrom Rack.
Why buy department store? Pay department store prices. They're now the secondary business, and the off-price is the primary business. So then if you're in the department store business, you go, hey, I want some of that. That's not fair. Why are they getting all the value?
Throughout 2021, demand for off-price retailers has surged, and stores like TJ Maxx and Ross have found new supply chains to keep up with this demand. But with traditional department stores and outlet malls starting to come into the market, what does the future look like for off-price retail? Some say it might not be so bright.
I think that there is a lag in the market. So the premium market and regular priced items have hit a lot of obstacles during the pandemic because of all the supply chain issues. It doesn't matter which market you're in, but they have completely changed the landscape. But because TJX operates on items that are already overproduced, I think there is a lag in when the supply chain issue is going to hit them. So for them, it's going to be maybe 2 years later, because actually brands have already adjusted the way they're going to be going forward, and they're looking at producing a smaller number of items.
Additionally, as more shopping moves online, will off-price stores who rely on in-person shopping be able to keep up?
It's a lot harder for a TJ Maxx to move online because the product sells at such a low average ticket that it's really hard to make money fulfilling your order and shipping it to you.
Some experts predict that stores like TJ Maxx have such a dedicated consumer base that they'll find ways to keep up supply for their fans.
Off-price retailers play an important role in the entire retail ecosystem. They're like the scavengers. They clean up the surplus inventory and channel it to consumers in a very effective and efficient way. Because, for example, a lot of those unsold clothes would have ended up in landfills, which would be a huge waste and causing all kinds of environmental problems. And they channel it to lower income consumers or consumers who just love bargain shopping and treasure hunting.
Every year, every passing moment, more and more consumers choose to shop at value-based retailers and leave the high frills, high-end retailers. Why? Because they want the best price, like anyone does. And value is not class specific or income specific. Everyone wants a deal.